Thanks to the supporters of channel member Aiden C97. Well, this is all very new. We're not running away with the league. We're not even in the playoff spots. We keep losing football matches. I think we might have found our level. Hello and welcome to part 14 of Saving Man City. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games for you in League One. We're at home against Wickham, at home against Bradford. But the headline really is that since you were last with me, we have not been dominating the way we have grown used to over the last couple of years. I mean, Man City fans, I guess, would have been used to it for the last 15 or so years. But yeah, it's no longer quite going our way. It felt like it wasn't quite right when the strikers weren't scoring. And as you can see, the strikers still not really scoring. It really felt like it was going wrong when we lost 3-0 against Cheltenham. That doesn't feel like a very Manchester City thing to do. But we then also lost against Mansfield in the Pizza Cup. And most recently have got knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Rotherham, who are 11th in the Championship. So whereas previously we were a team that, although we were playing in League Two in the National League, we felt like we were probably a Championship level side. We've shown against Huddersfield and now shown against Rotherham. That's really not the case anymore. And with these defeats against the likes of Mansfield and Cheltenham and not being able to beat Millwall and McDonald's, I think it's becoming more clear we're probably a decent mid-table League One team that is still in incredible financial problems and is going to need to sell players even from this team that isn't dominating anymore. There's been rumblings in the comments section that this save's not as hard as I made out it was going to be. It gets hard from here, boys and girls, and we could really use a couple of wins today. First one up against Wickham, who are just below us in the league, 1 point below us. It's a home game that we have to win. So let's go out there and hopefully win it and hopefully find a way to get our strikers scoring some goals, because that's a real issue for us. After what we got used to with Liam Delap, Jimmy J. Morgan, only one goal and averaging a 6.58. Doesn't seem like he's the answer, but Josh Coburn, only one goal in the league and averaging a 7.02, which I guess is a little better. It's not Liam Delap levels, though, and neither of them scoring particularly prolifically at all. We need a goal scorer. We need somebody to emerge. Today is an opportunity for Morgan. If he doesn't emerge, which is what we're looking for, might have mentioned that, then I guess we look to Coburn. I don't know. It's not that it's just the strikers that are the problem either, because if you look at the average ratings, we've only got one player in this starting 11 who's averaging over a 7, and that's Luke Mbete. On that basis, I guess Coburn probably should be getting the nod ahead of Morgan because he's the only other one who's averaging a 7. But he's just not quite the style of player that I want playing up front. I want that more mobile, pacey striker that you get from Morgan. It's a tricky one. Let's hope we win today. We've got Trafford in goal, a back for a Flynn, Mbete, Katongo and Sweet. Charles at the base of the midfield, Fiorini and Wells Morrison ahead of him. Hamilton on the left, Dixon on the right, and Morgan up front. Micah Hamilton has probably been our biggest attacking threat so far this season, which I think says a lot because he wasn't a major attacking threat for us last year. And the season before, when we were in the conference, he didn't even get a look into the team. That gives you an idea of how the standard of player in this team has declined over the last couple of seasons. Yeah, Micah Hamilton has obviously got a little bit better. He's a young player who will have improved in that time. But for him to now be our great attacking hope, where he wasn't even getting on the bench 2 years ago, that's not just exceptional player development from him. That's an example of how much weaker the squad that he's being selected from is. And now we're at that point where, okay, we've got through that first wave of Manchester City youngsters. The young players who are coming through the academy now aren't anywhere near the standard of the ones that have gone before. We've started bringing in a few players on free transfers, and it becomes a different kind of save now. The last couple of seasons have been about selling off all of the youth and kind of re-establishing ourselves a little bit higher up in the league whilst clearing off as much of the debt as possible. But now we find ourselves as an average League One team with £1 billion worth of debt. Tell me again how this save's not going to be difficult from this point on. And we are now 1-0 down at home to Wickham as well. And it's just defensive calamity from us again. There's no real attempt to do any defending. His Sweet kind of falls over. He's already on a yellow card. plays it into the path of the Wickham player. I mean, it's a very good finish from him. It's a wide angle that he's managed to turn that in from. I mean, you can see by the fact they're only on an XG of 0.13, but they're 1-0 up. Shows just how small of a chance that was. But the point is, they scored it. And now we find ourselves backs against the wall, not in great form, and without a goal-scoring threat, or at least a significant one, in the team. So it becomes harder again from here. We don't want back-to-back defeats. We certainly don't want to fall into a slump of rubbish form. Dixon plays it back to Shea Charles. Charles now to Katongo. I mean, we still have this solid core. Mbete, Katongo, Charles, these are defenders good enough for this league. And Micah Hamilton is definitely an attacker good enough for this league. He is emerging as the main man around here. A 4th goal of the season now for him. And if the rest of the attack isn't yet clicking, at least Micah Hamilton is. Goodness me, he's papering over some of the cracks. And that is very good work from him. Drifting inside from the left wing, putting it onto his favoured right foot and just drilling it low past the goalkeeper. The worry, of course, and it's always going to be the worry until we're back in the Premier League, which based on how this season started could be years. But until we're back in the Premier League, the worry is always going to be you get a player who starts to look really good the way Hamilton is, and then how long do you keep him for? How long until someone offers 5 million and we have to take it? How long until we get to the point where we have to take 2 million? Because any money is better than no money, because we're that close. We're teetering that close to the brink of administration, and that it becomes more and more of a problem. So as much as I'm enjoying Hamilton, every time he scores and makes it clear that he's our best player, we're a step closer to ultimately losing him, to him being the one most likely to be sold in January, because he's the only one anyone's going to be interested in. It's very much a double-edged sword. We're offering some encouragement to the boys now to hopefully go and grab a win. We've got to be able to beat the likes of Wickham at home if we're going to be in with a chance of these playoffs this season. And Wells Morrison trying to dink it over the top to, I think it was Dixon coming in off the right-hand side that it was aiming for them. We are trying something a little bit different with the midfield today, with Wells Morrison a little bit further forward. He's our most creative passer. And although it's nice to have him sat in front of the back four directing traffic, we're a little bit, I mean, I've mentioned a lot, we're quite a lot toothless going forward. So we're hoping he's there to help pick the lock for us and create some chances for our attackers. It's not really working out that way. So you'd think as well, Shea Charles being in front of the back four would lead to us being a little bit more defensively solid. But Wickham have scored again, and they just cut through us all too easily. Sliding it across, he's completely unmarked. That's the area you'd expect Shea Charles to be defending. And Wickham 2-1 up. Despite us being ahead on XG, they've just been much, much more ruthless with the chances that have come their way. And at what point are we going to have to switch to one of these dreaded back threes that everybody else seems to be using? I've not had my rant about back threes in FM23 for a while, but it's coming. I promise you it's coming again soon, because they are the bane of my life at the moment. Right, we are going to drop Wells Morrison back, bring on Finley, Thorndike in midfield. Coburn's coming on up front as well. We've got a lot of tired legs around the place, actually. Let's get Kane Taylor on as well. Katongo's tired, so Samuel can come on for him. And I think that's 4 changes. That's everybody freshened up a little bit. The ones who weren't playing well are off. The ones who are tired are off. Have we got an equaliser in us? If Coburn scores here, at least he'll start the next game. At least we'll know who our striker is at that point. And I think we've got a penalty. We have got a penalty. Sweet involved in everything again. He certainly seems to be an agent of chaos for us at both ends of the pitch. And it's going to be Flynn stepping up to take the penalty, which indicates I've not set my penalty takers for this season, because it usually defaults to the left back. But it's a decent penalty anyway from Shane Flynn to make it 2-2. And now with 15 minutes to go, have we got it in us to go on and win this game? I would very much like to. We need to get back to winning ways. We've got one more substitution to make. We can change the left back, although Flynn has been the best player, but he is tiring. Or we can try and change something going forward with Nico O'Reilly coming on. But we don't really have... I mean, the logical thing is... I think what we'll actually do is put Flynn to centre-back and bring Josh Wilson-Esbrand on. That way, it keeps Flynn on the pitch to reward him for playing really well. That keeps the energy in those wide areas. Get Wilson-Esbrand up there supporting Hamilton allows Hamilton to tuck in a little bit more. But once again, we've been caught on the counter-attack here. They've got him behind our fullbacks, just as I'm talking about wanting our fullbacks to push on. I love a fullback that pushes on, but they've caught us again there, and luckily, this time, not quite as clinical as they have been for the rest of the match up to this point. And it's now Sweet on the right-hand side again. Gives it to Kane Taylor, who's got room to look up, pick a pass, plays it over the top to Coburn, who, this is where we need a little bit of extra pace in the centre forward. This is what I was talking about. Coburn could have turned and... Morgan turns and runs there. Coburn doesn't. But ultimately, it has led to a goal because he held the ball... Oh, it's been ruled out. He did hold up the ball quite well, play somebody else in. And, I mean, he ultimately did stray offside just... And I don't even think it's Coburn. It's not Coburn who's been given as offside. I think it was Hamilton on the left-hand side who'd pushed into an offside position. I'd argue he wasn't really interfering with play, but who am I going to argue with, I guess? No one listens to poor old Kev, but that was the difference you get from Coburn as the striker. More hold-up, link-up play, less of a direct, physical, get-in-behind situation. Finlay Thorndike has done brilliantly here, until the finish. I mean, he ran well, got into some decent space, then didn't seem to really know what to do with it. Tried to side foot it across goal, and it was neither a pass nor a shot in the end. We've got a corner as we try and grab a late goal. In fact, we've won the ball back there. It's Samuel from range. And, I mean, that would have been a wonderful way to get what I think would have been his first ever goal for us. But at the same time, you probably would have picked any other player on the pitch to be the one to have the shot from that position. As it is, it's ended 2-2. Once again, struggling to get past opposition you would expect us to be able to get past, but we are hovering around and about just outside the playoff positions. And I think target for this season at this point is playoffs. The board are happy with top half, which is definitely where we are. The fans, previously at least, were looking, they're looking for playoffs. I think we've got to go with the fans here and aim for the playoffs. And it's going to be tough. This is harder than it was supposed to be. Folks, just want to take a moment to thank today's episode sponsor, Incognito. Reports of hacks and data breaches have been happening more and more often in recent years. And if you're anything like me, you've probably just ignored it and assumed it's never really going to affect you, while simultaneously seeing the number of nuisance robotic phone calls and spam emails you receive increase on an almost daily basis. Seriously, I've got over 50,000 unread emails in my inbox. I've been ignoring this problem for a long time. But it's absolutely not something we should be ignoring. If companies have got our name, email address, and phone number, who knows what other information they could have? Whether it's date of birth, income level, employment status, financial information, family details. If you've ever disclosed a piece of information somewhere online, that information could now be being traded by unscrupulous data brokers. But that's where Incognito comes in. They fight for you to remove all of your personal data from data brokers. All you have to do is create an account and then give them permission to act on your behalf, and then they just go off and do it all, removing all of your information from all of the deepest and darkest corners of the internet. Seriously, you'll be shocked at some of the places they'll find information about you hanging out. The only downside to it is that now, without the nuisance phone calls, I've realised that nobody ever calls me at all. But that's a small price to pay for protecting me from all of that other stuff. And my dog still likes hanging out with me when no one else is at home. So if you're ready to start protecting your online data, head down to the link at the top of the description below, use discount code LOLLUJO, and you'll get 60% off an annual Incognito plan. That's code LOLLUJO to get 60% off an annual plan. Go click it now. Right, we're going to shuffle things around a little bit for Bradford, try and find a way to pick up a win against them. Bradford are another one who are just below us in the league, 2 points below us. Hovering around this upper mid-table area as well, but we're shuffling things about. Shay Charles drops back into the back four. Wilson Esbrand comes in at left back as well. Wells Morrison resumes his spot at the base of the midfield, with Robertson coming in to play ahead of him alongside Fiorini. And then we are bringing Coburn in to play up top, because Morgan, as much as he should be great on paper, I mean, he's not been great, has he? He's no Liam Delap. How's Liam Delap getting on, I wonder? I haven't checked. Where is he? Liam Delap. Is he even playing for... Oh, he's at Galatasaray on loan from Brentford. Interesting. I mean, I guess there wasn't much chance of us getting him on loan if he went to Galatasaray. But he's also struggling a little bit there. I mean, wouldn't everybody be much happier if in January we took over Liam Delap's loan and he came back? It's probably pretty unlikely, but oh, it'd be lovely if we could find a way to we won't be able to find a way to pull it off, but it would be nice. I would enjoy it very much. But let's focus in on today's game. Look how far ahead of us these teams at the top of League One are already getting. There is a big gap forming between us and the teams vying for automatic promotion. We're definitely not one of those this season, which is an unusual position for us to be in. I mean, last couple of years, obviously, we've been running away with these leagues in the lower leagues. But before that, City been very used to challenging at the top of the table in the Premier League for a long, long time. For Manchester City fans, not being in the top 2 or 3 is weird. Being in League One, obviously pretty weird as well. And it's going to be interesting to see how the fans respond to a season of consolidation, maybe. We've had 2 promotions back to back. How happy are we going to be with a mid-table finish? Not very, but I mean, if it becomes clear by February time that we're going to finish mid-table, we'll take the administration this year, please. We'll take the points deduction now, as long as it doesn't put us in a relegation battle. Right, Coburn stepping up to take a penalty, and that might be just what he needs to get him going, scoring some goals for us in the league. It's his 4th goal of the season. 2 of them so far have been in cup competitions. But he does now have another league goal to his name and hopefully can now establish himself as our starting striker and go on and score a few goals. Because I think if we can find a man who's going to get 15, 20 goals for us playing up front, we don't need a Liam Delap 35, 40 goal a season replacement. Just someone who can get 15 or 20, I think will be enough to get this team back moving in the right direction. And it's not like we're a poor team. We are hovering just outside the playoffs. We're not a bad side. Defensively, we're very solid. Certainly, again, on paper, I mean, we've conceded a couple of sloppy goals in this video, but you look at that back 4, that goalkeeper, that holding midfielder, there's not an obvious weakness there. If you were coming in, even if we had money, which we don't, but even if we had money, there's not an obvious upgrade that you do to that defensive setup. Obviously, in the attack, we are a little light. We've got strikers who don't score, and the 2 wingers are really a striker and a central midfielder. So maybe it's time to switch around and do the diamond that I've been threatening for so long and go Coburn and Dixon up front with Hamilton in behind. But Hamilton's been playing so well coming in off that left wing that that's kind of been what's keeping me with this shape, because Hamilton has been such a threat from this shape. But we do have a number of players who could play at the point of a diamond. So it's something to toy with, but hopefully something we don't have to toy with in the very near future, because I'd like to think we're about to pick up a victory in the league, which would be very nice. Coburn with a header that hits the top of the crossbar, very nearly doubling his goal tally for the day. Would be exactly what he needs. What he doesn't need, though, is a tight calf. We're going to take him off immediately. Interesting that my assistant manager is recommending bringing on Thorndyke rather than Morgan. It shows how poor Morgan has been. I mean, I'll go with that recommendation. I don't know that Thorndyke is a striker. I mean, we'll give him a go there. Maybe he'll end up being the answer. We'll play him up front. We've not used him as a striker yet. He's got half an hour here, though, because of this knock to Coburn, which would be a real blow if Coburn starts to look like he might be the one, and then he's going to miss a couple of games of injury. That's a problem. But if Thorndyke can come in and look good, then maybe he ends up as the answer. Although I'm getting flashbacks now to that chance he had in the last game where he got through 1 goal and didn't really know what to do, and I'm wondering whether Thorndyke should ever be allowed near an opposition penalty area again. So that might not be ideal. Right, Micah Hamilton isn't having his best game today, so maybe this is the opportunity to try the diamond. We've got Morgan there, and I think we are going to try it. What we're going to do is actually drop Thorndyke back in there and do this. So we'll try Morgan as an advanced forward, and Dixon can still be the pressing forward, and we'll try that. I guess we should probably just check we're not forcing the ball out wide, are we? No, we're still playing we always played relatively narrow. Yeah, that still works. We'll keep that instruction as is, and maybe shuffle the midfield slightly as well. Robertson can come off for O'Reilly. We'll try and get some more energy out there. So Thorndyke getting an opportunity in supposedly his best position, and we get to try a different attacking shape, which is, I mean, it's another chance sooner than I expected for Morgan. Maybe he needs to be part of a front 2, and that was very nearly a wonder goal from Fiorini. My word. from range, rattles the frame of the goal, and unfortunately doesn't get any reward for it because it's going to be Bradford coming away with the ball. But that was quite the hit. Goodness me. Right, let's make these final couple of changes. We've got some tired legs in our back four. So we're going to take up, we don't have a right back who can come on, so Sweet is going to have to stay on. But what we can do is take off Mbete for Flynn, and Katongo can come on for Shea Charles. And we'll just, I mean, it's not ideal changing both centre-backs with 10 minutes to go, but they're both shattered. So Flynn and Katongo are League One quality centre-backs, so I've got no qualms about playing them. Katongo, they both started the previous game, but yeah, it's never ideal to change both your centre-backs midway through the game, especially not at the same time. Right, we've not really shown anything with this diamond, have we? Thorndyke kind of getting on top. What? In fact, did I even set Thorndyke an instruction? Attacking midfielder. I mean, I guess that's fine. Would that be his best role there? I'm not so sure. Oh, my word. James Trafford didn't really seem to know what was going on there. Bradford hitting the crossbar, the post. Something wooden got beaten there. And once again, we have massively underperformed our XG. In fact, I don't do this very often. I'm just going to have a little glance at the XG table because I feel like we're regularly no, not the FA Cup. I think we're regularly massively underperforming our XG. So if we go to the XG table, that says a lot, boys and girls. If we were performing to our XG, if we could find a striker, we'd be in the automatic promotion spots. We've just got to figure out how to do goals. We'll figure it out. We'll find the man. Is he in the dev centre? We got a striker down here? Not really. Still a while until January as well. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.